Holy cow, I got 2 procs. We're going Giga, boys. I got another proc! Holy shit! What is happening?
Goated.
I got another. I got 4 in a row. Whoa.
Oh, this is going to be bad.
It's actually never happened before. Oh, I got another. What is happening? I broke the game. What's going on, guys? Zuco back with another Dragonflight video. I hope you're all doing very well. I'm hanging out with the Rams here. I don't know what's going on. I want to talk about the Storm build, the Gamba build, which I have been having an absolute blast with. It is by far my favorite build, I think, that I've ever played on Enhancement Shaman, and I've played it for quite a while now, a few expansions. I really enjoy this thing. They've really nailed the idea of the Storm kind of gambling build, and if you play it correctly, if you play it really well, you are rewarded with procs that you're looking for because of the new way that they have changed Storm's Invocation and Static, and the way that DRE kind of works now. It's stacking up over time. You get that guaranteed chance to get that proc, and it just works really, really well every single time. So I'm going to show you the build that I've got so far. I'm going to run over some overall damage numbers in Mythic Plus that I've been doing right now. And then we're going to get into a bunch of footage of me just smashing dungeons and having a lot of fun. So this is the build that I've got right now. My class tree changes, guys, from dungeon to dungeon. So sometimes I have a Purge. Sometimes I'll swap Purge for Poison Cleanse. Sometimes if the healer really needs mana, I can switch over there. But generally speaking, I'm jumping between Purge and Poison Cleanse, depending on what I need. And then everything else basically stays the same. On Entangling weeks, you want to run Thunderous Paws, because it gets you right out of Entangling as soon as you touch Ghost Wolf, which is super, super great. And the rest of it's really good. I think Double Cap Totem is super strong. I like having Wind Rush for my group. A lot of good things in here. You could take Earth Grab Totem for this week, actually, to slow down Spitefuls if you really wanted to, but it's up to you. Here's the spec side. We have Wind Fury Totem. I do have Ice Strike, and I've dropped Swirling Maelstrom. So the one change that I made that I discovered is actually perfectly fine is taking Swirling Maelstrom and putting it into Converging Storms instead. So I think this is fine. It makes your Storm Strike hit a little bit harder, which is super cool. I still keep the rest of the build the exact same. Even on tyrannical weeks like this week, I don't drop Alpha Wolf because it's really, really good. And even over the course of a dungeon, Alpha Wolf is going to end up doing a lot of damage for you. I think right here it's about almost 5% of my damage just in that one talent point. So you definitely want to keep Alpha Wolf. And yeah, of course, you're just mostly rotating between Storm Strike and Crash Lightning and Chain Lightning. That's the main rotation. And then you have your big cooldown window being Doom Winds plus Sundering. I am item level 436 now. I've just been upgrading all my gear with all the different crests that I've been getting. And then basically, guys, with the new tier set bonus, you get this really great window during Sundering where you're doing crazy amounts of damage and you get a refund from your Chain Lightnings. And it just plays so smoothly. It feels so good to me every time I play it. Here's a bunch of damage numbers that I've got here. We have a whole bunch in a row, right? They're over here. Whatever. There's a bunch here. So let's make this big for you. I don't want to zoom in too much. It makes it blurry, but these are just a bunch of overalls that I did. I did Neltheris a whole bunch of times trying to get the weapon from there, but I wasn't able to get it. 115k overall there. A Freehold, we did 116k. Another Neltheris was 103k. And then if we go over to this one, you can see we had an Underrot. Let me just get rid of this one. We had an Underrot 17 over here. I did about 95k. And then 130k in a Neltheris. 112k in a Neltheris. 115 in a So Neltheris is a great dungeon. For us, it's got lots of big AoE packs that are wonderful for this build. This build has incredibly strong uncapped AoE because Crash Lightning hits all enemies in front of you. And then the Storm Strike and the Ice Strike afterwards will proc Crash Lightning extra damage, the splash damage. It hits everybody in front of you as well. Sundering hits all enemies in front of you. When DRE procs, it hits all enemies around you. So it's very, very good that way. Let me go over to here. Here's a bunch of other ones. That's an Oldemon 15, 93k. Let me find the other ones that I'm looking for here. Here's another DPS comparison. I gave you that one already. Let me just look at the this one here. This was from, I think I was on my laptop doing these, so I don't even know what these dungeons were. But we did 102k, 94k, 92k. This was a more competitive one for sure, and a little bit less damage. But again, I'm just showing you these are all taken from different dungeons. So I want this to be clear that these are all different dungeons that I've been doing, and you can just see that we're competitive in every single one of these dungeons. Like it's just it's really competitive with all the other specs that are out there. Here we lost a little bit to the Brett Paladin, but we still did 90.5k. Here's 116k in an Eltheros once again. Super good there. And here's a big comparison of the ones I just did last night. I'll make this nice and big for you. So we had an Oldemon 16, did 116k there. Halls of Infusion 16, we had 96k. Underrot 18 with 102k. Vortex Pinnacle 19 with 107k. Then we had a Freehold 20 where we ended up dying like 50 or 60 times. We basically, the key got very brick, so the numbers are going to be very wrong. But you can just see in all of these dungeons, of which I've done so many in the past couple of weeks. Like, my IO now is pretty insane. If we just look at it here, I've done 27 15-plus runs, and that's just in the last couple of weeks, basically. I got my rating up to 24-14 now. So we've done a lot of content, and it's able to tackle all the content that we could possibly want in this with this build, and it works really well on both Tyrannical and Fortified weeks, and it competes with the best of them, guys. It competes with all the other specs. It competes with all the other builds that are out there right now. It's really, really strong. I really enjoy it quite a bit. So let's jump into some of the footage, and we're just going to watch me pump a little bit here. This is actually really cool. This was obviously the intro. I just want to show it again because it was insane. I've never had this happen before, and it's not supposed to happen anymore with DRE, but it did happen. I get one proc here. Okay. That's my first DRE proc for the fight.
Oh, shit.
Then we jump over here. Proc number 2. That's our second one.
I got 2 procs.
So we're just pumping.
Giga, boys.
Proc number 3.
Holy shit. What is
Proc
happening?
number 4.
I got 4 in a row.
I gotta move over here.
Whoa.
Oh, this is gonna be bad.
And then proc number
I
5.
got what is happening? I broke the game.
The chances of getting 5 DRE procs in like a 20-second window, they're astronomically small now. Like, because with the new DRE system, of course, you start at 0%, and then every wind strike or storm strike that you press afterwards is like 1%, 2%. That's how we think it works, right? And so this basically meant that I got a 1 to like 4% chance to proc 5 times in a row. Like, I don't even know what the percentage chance of that. It's very low. It should not happen. So absolutely insane, but really, really fun stuff there. Okay, here's just a bunch of footage of me blasting in dungeons, bam. This is where I got a proc, and then I have Sundering coming up here. So I press Sundering right now, and then we do our Chain Lightnings, and we're doing 350k, 320k. Like, it's just the ceiling for this build is so high. It just goes up and up and up. It's insane. Here's an opening to the Freehold 14 that I showed you some of my footage from, or the overall damage from. 220k, 280k, 300k in the opener. It's just not difficult to pull off these numbers. Once you get a bit of gear like I have, I've just been working really hard doing my dungeons and getting a bunch of gear and just upgrading it. Like I've gotten some lucky gear slots for sure, but mostly, guys, I've just upgraded my gear with my Worm Shadowflame crests. Here's another, combo right here with Halls of Infusion. A little bit less damage here, but we had a big Sundering. There's our Chain Lightning, so I think we pulled this from the other pack too, so the numbers are not quite as high. But then we get a DRE proc, and we're just pumping. You get almost 200k right there. So it's just so smooth. It feels really, really good to play. You don't have to worry about getting your right, a Flame Shock target over here into like a Lava Lash, into like a Primordial Wave, and then detonating and then going. You don't have to kind of worry about any of that stuff. You just slap and go, and you're gonna get DRE procs, and it's just gonna look like this. This is what it will look like. So if you're frustrated with the build maybe, or struggling, or you don't think this build is as good as it is, this is why I want to show you all this footage from all these different dungeons, because it is just really, really strong, and it's competing, in my opinion, with all the other builds that are out there. And even like in this Underrot, for example, this is an 18 Underrot. I was responsible for almost all of the CC in this dungeon. Me and Sup, the DH, basically took care of everything in this dungeon. Like all the knockups, interrupted every Screech, interrupted every like Bile dude who was gonna launch stuff at us. Like, we were doing it. I was using Cap Totem and my kick, and I was knocking enemies up. It was insane. Here's an example of this was really good. Sup was really good at calling this out. If you're struggling with these two defilers,
Probably.
listen to this.
I'll get withering on X. Zuco get withering on unmarked. Rich get X volley.
Yeah, okay. Beautiful.
So Sup's calling out like we need to kick both of the volleys and we have to kick the withering curse.
I got it.
There's my curse.
Watch out. Spirit.
And then again, our damage on 2-target cleave is really good.
I'm glad they added AoEs to those. It was
113k.
It was so bad
either
before.
pay,
Yeah.
deal in or out or not.
And we got a DRE proc at the end here to finish it off. Very, very good stuff. This build just feels good. It just feels good in all these different situations. Super, super good. Here's the next AoE pack here. Watch this. This is huge. Forgot to end this. There we go. So we start this pack. I'm going to kick the worm. Here's big AoE damage. We have Sundering coming up in 9 seconds. So I don't even have wolves either. Oh, no, I do have wolves out. Sorry, wolves are out right now. We're doing 140k without Sundering. Here comes Sundering. Watch this. 160k, 190k. Like 200k because we got a DRE proc. It's insane. This is what you can do with this build, guys. This is what happens with this build. The Storm Gamba build is this strong. Once you really learn how to play it, how to manage your Legacy of the Frost Switch procs, it might look like I'm not managing any of that here in the footage, but I promise you there's a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes that I'm really thinking about so that I don't mess up my rotation, so that I constantly am getting my Storm Strike back. You have to be getting your Storm Strike back over and over again. If you're doing that, then you're going to be able to keep your rotation, keep the flow going, keep the Storm Strikes going, and you will proc Deeply Rooted more often than you think you might. Again, here's a Vortex Pinnacle 19. We just keep climbing with the keys. But yeah, I promise you, once you sort of get a handle on pressing Storm Strike before you press your spenders, excuse me, that is a massive, massive deal. Once you figure out how to kind of manage that properly and get your Legacy of the Frost Switch procs managed properly, you will be much, much better off with this build if you're struggling right now. Here's a single target boss fight.
Oh,
I wanted to make sure I included this for single target damage. Our opening burst with Lust is completely crazy. It's like 140 to 160k if I'm playing it right.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry.
We got a DRE proc right here. Look at Rich is also pumping. I almost die right here because I get hit by one of the lightning things. Poor, I think Asterio yells at me later because I keep getting hit by them. And then we're trying to get a kick order here for Lightning Bolt. You have to kick Lightning Bolt. Very important. So I'm on duty right. There we go. And then he comes in. Try to get as much damage out as you can. Make sure your Wind Fury Totem is down. And then make sure you back out here. Don't get hit by the big circles here when it comes out.
Is it a she?
But you can see we're doing like good damage here. And Rich is pumping. Rich is doing 110k. But we're competitive here. It's always important to remember that. That's an important word here. We're competitive. I think I have to do a chain lightning caster because, yeah, that was my fault. So there is an example of me not managing my stacks correctly. Because I have no Maelstrom weapon stacks right now. None. I have one now. And I have a chain lightning sitting in the chamber ready to go from my Sundering. So I end up standing here and casting it. And I get run over. And Asterio gets mad at me. And I was kind of trying to do two things at once there, but
Trying to do the incorp, sorry.
you need to single target is where you can definitely struggle if you're trying to figure out how to manage your Maelstrom weapon stacks. That can be a difficult one. You have to be incredibly precise on how you manage your stacks, or else it will not go well. I do end up dying here. I think I reincarn right here, heal myself, and then we keep going. Boss fight gets a little bit dicey. We just had a lot of damage going out there. So our damage isn't going to be super high. But again, we're staying up there. I think Rich got rezzed and then died into a pool or something, unfortunately. Yeah, I needed to get in the berry earlier. There we go. Oh, Sup almost dies. It's very close. It's very, very close. We get a DRE proc. Tends to like save the day. We're back up to 65k. Just like that, and then by the end of the fight, we're at about 65k to finish it off. So that's an example of a single target fight that didn't go very well, but you can still see that our damage we're able to recover. Because of the way the Deeply Rooted Elements works, it's just very, very strong at helping you recover damage when you fall behind. Here's a Freehold 20. Sup absolutely pops off here, and so does Rich. I don't think I got a DRE proc here, so I didn't quite get the damage up there, but we're still at 300k almost. So, again, by the end of this pull, you're going to see Sup's doing his big burst window right now, so he's at 400 and he was at like 450k for a little bit there. Rich is doing his burst window. We're going to catch up by the end of the fight because we don't have a big burst window except for like Doomwind Sundering, but they have much bigger cooldowns, and by the end of it, we end up catching up here. So it's really cool. You can see the damage is evening out now. Now that all the Spitefuls are out, we're basically done with the pull. And we basically even out to where everybody else was. So just remember, that's how this build works. It's always going to be better the longer the fight goes. Your damage will always get better. It'll get stronger as you kind of go. Here's an insane combo here. I have Doomwinds. I just pressed it. Here comes Sundering. Boom. 250k, 330k. We got a DRE proc. 380k. Like, we almost get to 400 there. So insane damage, guys. It's just really, really strong. And again, I'll stress in a second with my gear, I'm not running Primordial Stones anymore. I'm just running rings that give me really, really good secondary stats because it's just so strong. Yeah, but that's basically all I wanted to show. I just wanted to show you different clips from different dungeons showing you that the damage is incredibly relevant, that we are competitive in all of these different dungeons with all these different specs that we're playing with. Hunters and warriors and warlocks and demon hunters, and they're all here, and we're keeping up with everybody. Here's a really giant pull here. Again, the bigger the better for pulls with enhance with this build, the storm build. Doomwinds plus Sundering, we're doing 270k once again. It's very easy to get into the damage rotation for this build, and then you're just basically doing Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning, Storm Strike. Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning, Storm Strike in different orders depending on if they're proccing or not, but you're gonna they all refresh each other because of Legacy of the Frost Switch, and because that's just how Chain Lightning and Crash Lightning work. So it's really good. And the whole time that we're doing this, I'm knocking enemies up. I'm using my stun totem. Here comes the knock up from me in a second, right when Bananas is about to go off. So we're doing big damage and we're CCing. There's my knock right there. It's just like you can contribute so much to a Mythic Plus key as an Enhancement Shaman with this build. You're still going to be able to do damage, and you're going to be able to get lots of CC going there as well. So I would encourage you guys, if you haven't played this build yet, I would really encourage you to jump in and try it. This is my favorite way to play. It's the most powerful build that I think I've ever played. It's the most fun that I've ever had in a build. I really enjoy the way that it functions. All the procs that are coming through, all the stuff you have to manage, I really enjoy it a lot. So here's my gear. I'm 436. Like I said, I have a couple of just insane rings here. Haste Mastery, Haste Crit. Those are my rings there. I still have Whispering Incarnate, and I have Mammoth. So I'm going to need to replace this scale. It's okay right now, but it only ends up doing about 2% of my damage overall, I think, on average. Yeah, you can see right here it's 2.1%. So that's one of the things I might have to change is that trinket there. And then I have a couple of, this is a crafted weapon here, which I also need to recraft and put Fang on. I don't even have Fang Adornment on my weapon yet. I have the Mastery one. And then ideally I need to get Shadow Flame crafted on, I think it's the belt, right? Or something else. It's something here, boots or belt or something. So I still have some work to do on my character. I'm not fully like juiced out with crafting or anything. But I just have a really high item level right now because I've been pushing a lot of Mythic Plus and getting all these crests and working my butt off to try and get this done. So, again, you guys can do the exact same thing if you just push a bunch of keys, get a bunch of these crests going, and I promise you'll be able to get gear that kind of looks like this, and you'll be able to perform, as I've shown you that this build is able to do in Mythic Plus. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What's your favorite build for Enhancement Shaman right now? Do you still love the Elementalist build? Have you tried like a Fire Nova build? I would love to hear from all of you down there. And if you want to try this build, I'll have it linked down below in the description. Definitely check out the Storm build. If you're interested in this build and you want to know like a rotational guide for the build, let me know, because I'm thinking of doing a full-blown rotation guide for this build, because it can be kind of hard to figure out. You know, if there's 15 procs going off at the same time, which one do I press? So if you want a guide for the Storm Gamba build, let me know in the comments down below. Okay? Thank you guys so much again for watching. Love you all. I'll see you in the next one.